Hey, what's going on? How we doing? It's Micah Pellerin, nickname Musa, host of the Something Like the Offseason podcast. Excited about this episode. I think we have the best of both worlds right here. We got my brother Jerel Worthy, All-American in college, second round draft pick, Packers. We actually trained together heading out for the combine. All world in high school, story, decorated career athletically, phenomenal. What's even cooler is what he's doing now, like literally helping build stadiums, right? Like he's talking to city councils, senators, presidents, presidential candidates, if you will, right? So really exciting work there. And I think some of the messages that come through in this one that are really, really strong. A is resiliency. He endured a number of different injuries and setbacks that kind of would have precluded him from being successful in any other world, but not for him. The other thing that we talk about a lot in this one is community, right? And more so the community of sport and how it kind of impacts his role right now. It's a great pod, man. Lots of jokes. It's funny as always. Appreciate you all for tuning in. And you guys know what to do. Like, follow, subscribe, all the different platforms and all that type of stuff. It's in the comments section. Appreciate you all so much. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. It's giving you football and it's giving you life. Have a good week. God bless. All right, Big Worth, here we go, baby. The Big Four. First question. What was the moment in high school you knew you were destined for college? And what was the moment in college you knew you were destined for the L?
All right, so breaking down, I was kind of like a bittersweet moment for me. During my time at high school, I went to Wayne High School in Huber Heights, Ohio, or a little suburb outside of Dayton, Ohio, whatever. I had an opportunity to go compete at the Ohio State prospect camp. So this was kind of me flying under the radar. No one knew like who I was at the moment. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know, you know what I'm saying, my name or anything like that. And there were some big time recruits there. But you know me, man, I got a heart of a lion. So, I just kind of, for me, I went out there, man, I gave it my all. I went out there and I embarrassed some really premier dogs. And so, growing up, Ohio State was about 45 minutes from the crib. So it was kind of like something that was like, man, okay, you can go up here and you can show out in front of these guys. You can, what I'm saying, you can essentially play anywhere. And man, I did that. And it was kind of cool because I got a chance to walk in, I kind of won MVP of the camp. And, I had this one-on-one with Coach Tressel. And, at the time, us coming out of college at this time, like Coach Tressel was hot. You know what I mean?
The guy,
They went out.
the sweater vest, crazy.
Oh yeah, Sweater Vest King. They went out. They popped probably one of the greatest college football teams known to man in Miami. And so the amount of dogs that they had from that national championship game. I think everybody from both sides of the football got drafted. And so, man, it was, what I mean, like you get a little nod from them, And so, man, we had a conversation. I talked with Trussell one-on-one. I left that conversation. First of all, my head coach had paid for me to even go to the camp. He kind of, what I'm saying, he was investing in me and taking some chances on me that kind of really, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the moment. Even though, you kind of in high school, you feel confident, but at the end of the day, it's not, you don't really feel confident till you start getting, the real written letters, or you getting the one-on-ones like I'm sharing right now with Coach Tressel. And that kind of really stood out for me. And so when I got a chance to go back to school, you couldn't tell me nothing, dude. I'm up early. I'm at the 5 a.m. Look, I'm trying to get an extra lift in. I said, look, I'm telling, look, and that was the thing, man. You had the Buckeyes, hometown heroes. Everybody wanted to go there. I mean, everybody wanted to bleed the scarlet and gray at that point. And so really that kind of fueled my confidence, bro, from, that junior, senior year on, because, at the end of the day, obviously the story ends up, I didn't necessarily end up going to Ohio State. They kind of went in another direction. Glenville was really hot at the moment. And Ted
Ginn, right? That's all those guys?
Ted Ginn Sr. had he had the pipeline. He had the pipeline up to Ohio State, had Tressel on speed dial, basically. And so, they had a couple guys that, in quote unquote, deemed that they were, better prospects, coming from Glenville and everything like that. But long story short, man, Coach D'Antonio, the defensive coordinator who was on that Ohio State team that beat Miami, he was the new head coach at Michigan State. And so, being from Ohio, I still felt plugged in, when I signed on with Michigan State, man. So it was really a dream come true to kind of play for a coordinator that understood, my skill set, what I brought to the table. He compared me to a few of the guys that were, making plays back then. And so for me, it really hit home, and it was something that kind of felt special for me. And so, man, that whole offseason, like I told you, man, I was up early. My uncle, you remember Uncle Chuck, man, he was on me. Uncle Chuck was on me. So, I mean, for the most part, bro, he had me out, early mornings, late nights, but it just became a part of the process, man. And that's kind of what stood to me. And once I got that first few letters, the written letters, obviously there was ones that got typed up. Everybody got the ones that, came through the automatic sender and everything like that. But you get that coach to take the time out, put that little, I would say that little autograph on it and everything like that. You really knew you was in there. So, that kind of what I would say really stood out for me. And then when I got a chance to get to college, I set out that first year, man, because I was coming off an ACL injury my senior year, and that's something that kind of really set me back. Because what was so funny is I ended up playing in the All-Star game, the Big 33, but I was like 7 months removed from an ACL surgery my senior year in January, and I ended up playing in an All-Star game in July. It was, bro. First of all, obviously, given the times we were in, it was the Big 33. It was one of the most prestigious high school games, Ohio versus Pennsylvania. That year, Terrell Pryor was scheduled to compete in it. So for me, my whole mindset is, look, I gotta, you feel what I mean? I'm trying to show out and make plays, and it was dope for us, man. But we ended up winning the game, and it was cool. But for us, I would say I think it really set me back a little bit, just a couple months, because I went out there and I could play, I could compete in the best of the best in the high school level. But once I stepped on campus that freshman year, and I'm going up against 3-4 year letterman guys that were all Big Ten at one point, yeah. So I never redshirt that freshman year, bro. I had to get that knee right, bro. And I mean, and thank God I did, man, because that next year I ended up making freshman All-American. It was something that was really, really dope for us. And I would say that first year humbled me a lot. Because I went through an ineligible period just due to the simple fact of some transcripts. So coming out of high school, my freshman year, I went down to a Catholic high school, and it was downtown Dayton, Ohio, Chaminade Julienne. They actually had some big time recruits. They really were just all about, what I'm saying, football, basketball. It was, it was one of the cream of the crop. So we went down there. That first year didn't necessarily work out for us, and I ended up transferring out my sophomore year to Wayne High School, the one I ended up graduating from. But from some transgressions my freshman year between financial and school and things of that nature, man, there were some unpaid fees or whatever, and they basically waited up until I got all the way up to Michigan State for where they said, hey, we're not sending these transcripts. And so for the first maybe 3 or 4 months of me being on campus, I wasn't even allowed to be with the team. So I was flying under the radar, on campus working out, but I couldn't be with the team. And so, bro, it was some isolated moments that really, really kind of fueled the fire, bro, to me trying to get out the water and me trying to get out the mud a little bit. And bro, that's what led to that next year going crazy, because
year.
I know what I
knew. After freshman year, you knew.
I knew, because it was like, bro, listen, I'd have been in the dark. The Batman movie, oh, you're born in the darkness. That was that whole essence was me, because man, it was funny walking around. It was crazy just walking around campus and you seeing your teammates and you talking to them and you chatting it up with them, but I can't go be a part of the group lips or, what I'm saying, the team meetings and getting the extra knowledge. And so I had to go back to some old roots, man, and really studying some film and studying some old stuff and trying to kind of teach myself a little bit based off the principles that I had learned through high school, at least for those first 3 or 4 months, man. But I had a pretty good, my mom kept me strong, Pop kept me strong. Uncle Chuck, you already know, Uncle was just, what I'm saying, shoot, get your workout in, stay locked in, and because
already
at the end
know.
of the day, their whole thing was, man, they didn't want to see me back at the crib. Like,
Right.
and that was, where we come from, man. Like, regardless whether it's, New Orleans or down, Dayton, Ohio, that stuff is rough, bro. So any chance you get a chance to get out and go do something, see something, like everybody trying to push you out the door. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Exactly. And so that brings me to my next one. Question number 2. Who was the toughest comp that you faced? Because you were at the Big Ten when it was arguably right there with the SEC a little bit.
the
Like the
O
last time
lineman
that
for
there was
sure.
something close to the SEC. So who
Yeah.
was the biggest comp that you played against?
So I would say in college, man, it was 2
College
times.
and league. College and
So
league.
I'm gonna throw a couple out there. So college and the league. So coming out during that time, man, the Big Ten probably has some of the best O linemen in the country. Wisconsin's whole O line, I think, when they got Russell Wilson, I think they became like, it was like, bro, it was so funny, like taking like a creative player on Madden and kind of just putting him with the best O line because, Russell was so efficient coming over from NC State that last year, man. And we ended up playing them boys twice that year. And the first time we beat them in a Hail Mary at Michigan State, it was crazy. That was the Hail Mary pass where Kurt threw that thing up and, my boy Keith Nickel came down with it. And it just was a crazy, a crazy ordeal, man. That was a wild time for us. But then we end up seeing them later on in the year in the Big Ten championship, man, and they end up getting the best of us, which was kind of messed up for us because we end up losing that game by us hitting the punter, and we never hit the punter, so we end up running under the punter. We ran underneath the punter, and they threw a flag, bro, and we returned the ball all the way down to like the 3 or 4 yard line on the punt return. So we got the ball back. What was so funny, bro? We got the ball back. We did our job on defense. It was like under 2 minutes left or whatever. Bro, we, instead of, coach calls it, he goes for the block, and things of that nature. But Kurt was hot, though. Kurt had ran off like 3 straight touchdowns, was lit. And, man, we end up, I guess roughing the punter, bro. And that's how they end up, going on to the Rose Bowl and whatnot. But I would say between, those 2 guys in Wisconsin and then the SEC, when you bring in SEC, is our bowl games against Alabama. So we ran into there was a couple times we ran into those SEC teams. Where they got the best of us, the ones that I competed in, I ended up splitting down the middle. So Alabama, we lost to, but then we ended up beating Georgia by my last year. And bro, it was some good old linemen, but I would say the physicality in the Big Ten was a little tougher than just the overall athleticism that you saw from like some of the SEC O linemen. So there was guys that like, for a fact, if we running power, rerunning ISO, like in the Big Ten, okay, this is what I'm getting 4 quarters, right? SEC, they might do it a quarter and then they, we throwing that thing out on the edge and we got speed and this, you know what I'm saying? So, going through that experience, bro, it was, I mean, we ran into some really cool dudes, man. Let me try to see, man, that kind of end up, man,
Chance.
yeah.
Did you see Chance with Bama? Was his name Chance? Chance Womack?
Yeah, so Chance was there. Ben Jones was there. He had won the little Outland Trophy that year. I'm trying to think of my man who ended up playing out he played out in San Diego, big fella. He kind of blowing my brain a little bit, man, because he ended up playing out. He played in San Diego and played in Seattle at one point. But he was a pretty good old lineman, man. I think it was DJ Fluker. Was it Fluker?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So him,
he was nice.
Man, they had some dogs over there, bro. They had some dogs, and so it was just a different dynamic with speed and athleticism as compared to just straight like, hey, I got a neck roll on, and you already know what time it is. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so those were probably the two best O-line groups, bro, that I would say I played against that was highly competitive. Iowa comes in at a slick third because, they had 3 or 4 O linemen go first 2-3 rounds, and they had the best they like tight end U. Like Iowa is tight end U. So they had some of the best tight ends that block, run. You know what I'm saying? Them boys was nice. And, they beat us actually. We were number 5 in the country, went out there on the road. They popped us. I was hot. It was hot, bro. But nah, it was some good competition, man.
So
Yeah,
that
just kind of like if I had to say like in the league though, San Francisco, I would say San Francisco when they had Kaepernick, Alex Smith. They was probably one of the most physical teams in the National Football League. You had Mike Iupati, Joe Staley. That's probably the toughest double team to fight against. Frank Gore, Vernon Davis. My rookie, bro. This is my rookie year. First of all,
Crabtree.
Crabtree. Look, and this was so funny, bro. This was our rookie year, pal. So we go in there, man. And
this when Cap came in.
This one Cap just, bro. This when Cap became Cap, bro. So because we played them in week one, they had Alex Smith, right? They beat us, but it was like, man, okay, these dudes just like first of all. You go to pregame warm up, you like, okay, we live. We, you know what I'm saying? We in Green Bay. We in shape. Bro, you go out to pregame warm up versus that San Fran team at the time, dog. You had Pat Willis, swole, LeVar Bowman, swole.
Dante Whitner.
Swole. Bro, they had Alex Smith.
What's the safety?
Swole.
38. Wilson?
Man, man. I'm trying to think, man. They had Dante Whitner. The rest of both of the corners were swole.
Parrish Cox was nice.
Yes, bro. They had him. They had, Brooks, the other D lineman, was
55.
He was swole. Fucking McDonald was crazy out there. McDonald, bro. First of all, man, my man ended up he got locked up just being too crazy. He couldn't leave the field. He couldn't leave it on the field. He's just too aggressive. But my man, at the end of the day, was a dog out there, bro. You had Alden Smith and the other Smith, bro. Listen, bro, unbelievable, like completely unbelievable, man. So I would say that San Francisco team, bro, that was kind of like my welcome to the NFL moment as well, because I was only scheduled when I first got drafted to Green Bay. Like I was kind of coming in as a pass rusher when we first went through our preseason and everything like that. I was really more situated for like long yardage situations, third down. I ended up changing my whole body composition, bro, because that was the picture that I had going in. Like, now, if I kept my same routine like how I did in the Big Ten, I'd have still been 310, 315 and whatnot. Bro, they had me cut weight. I'm down to like 300, 305. I'm moving, but it's like, dude, the guy in front of me that plays in our base package got hurt second play of the game. It is San Francisco.
Was that Neil?
Nah, no. So this was CJ Wilson. This is my dog, CJ Wilson, bro.
Big dog.
Yeah, big dog, bro. Big Ninja Turtle, big Leonardo. So that my dog, bro. He got hurt second play of the game. So now I'm in on the base package and the pass rush package rest of the game, bro. I ain't practiced against them type of double teams all week, son. I'm like, coach. First, we had played this base 3-4, and all my teammates, B.J. Raji, Ryan Pickett. I think later that year we got Johnny Jolly back from reinstatement. C.J. Wilson. Every one of them dudes was 320, 330, big. You know what I'm saying? I'm out there like, coach, I can't play the same technique. I got to go back. I said, I got to go back to my roots, coach. I got to get off the ball, coach. If I don't get no knockback, I'm getting knocked back, coach. Like it's a wrap. But I mean, we had some fun, bro. It was my welcome to the NFL moment, man, and to see like guys, bro. Randy Moss scored on us, hit us with the little gates. I was like, oh man, it's over with, bro. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
Next question though, this one where I really want to see this because I know you've seen a lot of ball. Who was the best player that you played with that you feel like never got a fair shake in the L or never got a fair shake in college? That you were like, man, this brother or sister, like if they were given the opportunity, they would have went crazy.
Man, I'm trying to think. So I had a dog. He ended up making it to the NFL, but I just know for what the game ended up transitioning to, he was just a little bit ahead of his time. And so my dog, Keyshawn Martin, played slot receiver for us at Michigan State, but could do it all, though. Like when you turn on his high school tape, he came out of Inkster, Michigan. Man, he was like Mike Vick. His highlight tape was insane, bro. Like coming out of high school, like he was running all over the place. I'm talking about 92 yards, bop, bop, bop. Scrambling, drop back 30 yards. He came up to Michigan State and like he balled, But just for what our style was, we're really more of a, we're running the ball 65% of the time. Even with Kirk Cousins, we play action pass and things of that nature. And so like he ended up getting an opportunity, but I just feel like if we even with the stack, receiver room we had in there, because Blair White made it to the league, BJ Cunningham,
I
Martell.
seen DJ. Yes.
Yeah. So like all of those guys end up making it to the league. But if we could have found a way to feature this lightning in the bottle a little bit more, it would have been like he would have probably ended up going up like third round, higher like that, because I just felt, with the ball in his hands, Buddy had moves, and it was crazy because he didn't talk. Like Keyshawn didn't, bro. Kebo don't say nothing, bro. You be talking to him like, yeah, I'm just chilling. Like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't say. I'm talking about very few words, but if he cool with you, he rock with you, man. So I would say Keyshawn Martin would probably be the one out of college that I would say for sure. And honestly, one of the teammates I played with in the NFL that I still think, has been, I would say, kind of left by the wayside is Tyrod Taylor. And that's just me because, man, I seen what, when I signed with Buffalo, we had Shady McCoy, Sammy. I saw what it looked like when you had a dynamic quarterback like him with those types of weapons. Like I'm trying to think, man, under Greg Roman, we had the number one rush offense. But as far as like the deep ball down the field, like Tyrod Taylor had led the league in deep ball efficiency that year, bro. So he, overall, Buddy was, like if he ever got a full-term contract extension where a team believed in, his full-fledged ability, and now we trying to add pieces, you know what I'm saying? He kind of, it's kind of like the Justin Fields to a situation to an extent. Like Tyrod wasn't like a crazy off the map high draft pick like Justin, but as far as just the ability and what he's able to do with less than, right? You saw that earlier this year when they did against Philly. When they play in the big games, Buddy show up. He be, you know what I'm saying? And if at the end of the day, if you got guys that can like rally with him, dog, like you can win a lot of games.
He's always been a dog, even like in Cleveland. The only time he really comes off is when he gets hurt. You know what I mean?
I think that's the big knock on him.
Getting hurt, he's probably. I hate to live in that world, but he's
up there. He's at least. I would say out of 32 teams, he would be, with a fair shot, given the fact of or just staying healthy. He's easily top 10, top 12 in the league, probably top 14. If you want to, I would say, give it a real scale, probably within that top 14 range, just given it's not necessarily always like, oh, he's throwing the ball 300 yards a game. Like he might give you 225 to 275, but he going to give you 85 yards on the ground. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be able to get your team out of situations that, third and long, second and long, he extends the play. I think that the big knock on him is, when he does get hit, he be coming out the game, and that's kind of the way it works sometimes. But God-given talent, man, he's always on fire. So I would probably say Tyrod, and yeah, I'll probably say Tyrod out of anybody if I had to kind of just jump off the map for sure.
Sincerely. All right. Fourth question: what is the nicest thing a coach has ever done for you?
That question probably takes me back to like high school, because I told you I tore my ACL my senior year, so I'm kind of like a little bit of a walking miracle, man. I don't know, my grandmother just prayed over me a lot, which is crazy because so I tore my ACL during two-a-days my senior year, going in before the year, but I didn't know that I tore it. I didn't know that I had like a serious knee injury. I just thought I sprained my knee and whatnot, and I'm going about my shit, as routine as possible. But what happened was, bro, it ended up once I figured out that I got it tore. Like this was during the time frame where like, okay, if you get hurt in high school, you damaged goods forever. You'll never see a scholarship forever, right? So I'm talking to my high school coach, like, man, I gotta do whatever I can to continue to stay on the field, and you know what I'm saying, and I need you to trust in me that I can, get this done. And obviously it worked out because, I ended up achieving all my accolades that I would have set out to achieve, even if I had a healthy knee, which is a blessing. But Coach D'Antonio, the reason why I love him so much is because, he hooked me up with Dr. Colosimo, which was at the time the doctor or the medical surgeon for the Cincinnati Bengals. And, Coach D'Antonio was coming down. He was coming from the University of Cincinnati, signing on to Michigan State to be the head coach, and he still had those connections. And so, man, he looked out for me. And I guess the biggest thing is once I came clean, like, yo, man, coach, if you look at the tape, I've been playing with this injury all year, but I'm coming, what I'm saying, but I'm sharing with you that, I don't want to, I guess, be seen as damaged goods. And so the reason why I love him so much is because he treated me like family at the time, regardless of, what the circumstance was, and he looked out for me. And so he got me the right medical treatment, had me up there seeing the doctors at Michigan State University. After I signed and committed and everything, he had me like in the building and had me, trying to get the best treatment. And this was before, this is before I'm even wearing the green and white at the time. Like, what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I was committed. I was, I'm signed on the dotted line, but, I'm dealing with this crazy injury that naturally, takes opportunities away from players. And for him to just show that much faith in me and that much love in me, man, I never let him forget it. Like, I text him every year. I chat with him every year just to let him know, man, how grateful I am just for him giving me that opportunity. And so, yeah, bro, like, and that's why I fell in love with Michigan State, bro. It's a family. It's a family above everything else. And that kind of really, really stood out to me, though. So I would say Mark D'Antonio, man, because at the end of the day, I would say, like, if he still didn't show faith in me, like, I don't know where I would be at. Like, I could have went to a JUCO or a smaller school and just, been a knucklehead. But man, he showed a lot of faith in me, which I'm definitely grateful for.
That's fire. That's fire.
So,
all right. Well, that's the big four. So, unlike a lot of people who play, like myself, for instance, right? Like, undrafted, we trained together coming out for the bind. For whatever reason, I ain't get drafted, but I still
you was a
squeeze out.
baller, though. I think at the end of the time, you got to realize. So the one thing I would say about that is like the HBCU wasn't as thumping as it is now, right? Like now the love and support is there where they understand like these guys can play it, even like especially from a skill position that they definitely can play on the big stage. Like that dude can run, he can move his feet, be quick. Yeah. Like I'm gonna take a chance on him, and so I definitely want to clear the air on that before we even get it popping. That's the only thing that held you back from not hearing your name called on that is just the love and the respect that they have for the HBCU. But they now see that shit is there and that opportunity is there. So, I mean, yeah, man, you definitely paved the way for some guys because you balled and you stayed and you were sustainable in the league. So that's at the end of the day, you got to make that known, bro. Yeah,
appreciate that shit known. Appreciate that. But you had a different journey. You get drafted second round. You play. You're in your career. I want to talk to you about like year 6, like year 5, year 6. Are you thinking about post ball at all? Because, well, unlike even guys who get drafted, we know people who are drafted in the first round, they were out year 3. You know what I mean? People who didn't really ever get to play. You've been playing the whole time. You never really had, like you talked about earlier, like a redshirt year. Were you ever thinking about post ball like that, like in a serious way?
So I would say at the time, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, no. I would say from a foundational standpoint, yeah, because I ended up going back to school and kind of finishing things up. So I ended up entering the draft as a junior. Mom and dad was kind of going through some things. My dad had a stroke during my time in college, and Mom Dukes was just Mom Dukes is Mom Dukes. So she was trapping and doing her thing, and I'm trying to make sure that everybody was kept right. But I think during that 5th and 6th year, man, I had went through a series of injuries in the NFL that was kind of gruesome for me. I tore my ACL again my rookie year, which was a little tough.
But it was the other one, right?
Yeah, it was the other one. So it was the left leg, bro. 2 minutes left in the game, week 17, on the road. And basically we had the game won, regardless whether we win or not. We were in the playoffs next week, but we were trying to win to where we didn't have to play the Vikings back again the next week, which we ended up losing the game. We ended up playing them boys right back the next week. But it was that injury. It was the herniated back that I had to have surgery on. One of my worst concussions that I ever experienced in Buffalo. I was unconscious for like 10 seconds after it's like a friendly fire trying to go tackle the quarterback. He goes to slide, we got to jump over the top. So I'm jumping over the top. My safety come in. But it's preseason. First of all, this is my last series on the field, right? I'm coming out the game. I'm ready to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm going to give me a little sack on this little. So I go do my little move. I'm chasing Buddy. He goes to slide. And then one of my teammates came over the top and just basically hit me right at the corner of my helmet. And it messed me up a little bit. And so I would say that 6th year, like in that off season, was really time where I was like, man, hold on now. Like I know I can compete and keep doing this. But if at any point in time this thing just like abruptly ends, like I need to be in a position where I can transition or, you know what I'm saying, I can have some type of leverage to move on. And I realized like, you know, obviously we talked about having that paperwork. We talked about, you know, having that signature next to your name that lets you know like, okay, I completed this task. Like I'm not just an athlete. I completed this, you know, ordeal over here. And I would say that is the time where we end up deciding like, okay, I'm gonna buy this house. We decided to move down here to Atlanta and, you know, try to get ourselves ingrained in the community. Because at this point in time, regardless of whether you had you're a 1-year player or a contract guy, like, you know, it's rare where you see guys just buying homes and stuff like that during their time in NFL. So everybody's kind of, I got a spot over here and then I got a spot over here. And I felt like, you know, we were at this point, we're having kids now. And like my daughter was born, she's a youngin'. So I'm like, man, this is somewhere, somehow where somehow I got to find like a way to transition. And that's where, you know, I went back, I completed my degree, which was awesome. But I kind of just started that notion like, man, I got to have something else to pour into once this thing kind of comes to an end. So yeah, man, I wouldn't necessarily say I was thinking of it from a, you know, hey, I got to go run my own business and, you know, I got to get into, you know, business for myself. But I also was sitting there like, okay, well, if this thing ends, I need to have some options, you know what I mean? Whether or not, you know, returning back to my old school, you know, trying to get, you know, latch on with an NFL program or really just doing what I ended up doing on the third tip was just kind of, you know, going out there and trying to see what was best for me and like what other things I would actually be interested in besides being an athlete.
That's awesome, man. And I think for you, the thing I love about kind of how you're navigating this thing is it feels like, this is just me speaking, it feels like you got great balance, right? Like you got a gig where you get to travel. I'll let you talk about that. You got great family. We had JC on earlier. You know, I mean, he won't make it to the video, but you know, he had to run on.
My dog, yeah.
He's awesome, crushing it. Wife, and then you've got, you know, your flag football organization, your team and program right there. Tell me, once you stopped playing ball, was this the vision, or did this just kind of naturally develop? You know what I mean? Because I feel like you're doing everything. You're like, your professional job is still sports adjacent, but it's not you like coaching.
Yeah.
You still got your fam, you're in a sports town, you got your kids, and you got football, your own personal football, as much as you want to invest in it. So just kind of talk me through how you got there.
Well, man, so as far as you know, what I do now, man, I do business development now for a national contractor, Kiewit Construction. I actually work under an infrastructure engineering group, and so I help lead our sports and entertainment pursuits. And so it is honestly, you know, it's been a blessing in disguise just coming over to this opportunity for a number of reasons. First and foremost, just as athletes, like we've always been bred and taught to kind of like have our blinders on, like we're dialed in on a singular focus. So at the end of the day, if it's not nutrition, if it's not game plan, if it's not, you know, getting my sleep or tuning my body up like how I would tune up a sports car, you know, it didn't matter, right? But now when that I would say that routine is broken, that routine is you know, there's a new routine now, right? That I'm having to work through. And I think the world of business, the world of from the corporate side of things, it's eye opening to an extent because us as athletes, we're not always privileged to be in those rooms where those big time decisions are being made. You know, we're kind of more so, hey, once we get our orders, we got to go execute like a soldier to an extent. Where I'm in these rooms now where the money is getting decided, people are, you know, the communities that are being affected by, you know, these decisions that are made, like, you know, from a construction standpoint, like it is very eye opening because there's some amazing projects in which, you know, I have an opportunity to be a part of, I have an opportunity to help support, but it's really the outstanding process that it takes to get a shovel in the ground. And so meeting with the people in the community, understanding, you know, why they want this project, why they don't want this project, where they allocate the money, like how that money gets allocated, and where it comes from, and somebody is going to be a little less than, somebody's going to be a little more than, you feel me? And so just kind of going through that process is very eye-opening, man, to realize that we've been entertainment for so long, right? Like we've been on the biggest stage where where people are always kind of under we're always under a microscope. People are looking to us to be, something that naturally our job doesn't necessarily call us to be. Like they cause us to be the best athlete, but we get thrusted into being this role model or this leader or this decision maker. And so that same image gets transitioned over to corporate. Like once you come with that shield behind your back, that NFL shield makes people, they have more faith in you, before they even see the amount of work you have. And so it's up to you to deliver. It's up to you to make sure that you kind of stay on task and make sure that you are really, exceeding expectations. And so that's one of the things that I've learned since transitioning over to the corporate space. And just realistically, football has taught me, especially at the pro level, I'm able to work with anybody from any different background, regardless of what your beliefs are, what my beliefs are, where you come from, what seasoning you use on your food, regardless. Like I'm, what I'm saying? So I've been in a position where, I've taken every skill set of football and I've tried to transition that over to the corporate space, man, because what people don't understand, especially at that pro level, man, in order to even see that type of success, like you have to be visualizing and thinking years and years out. You got to know, what you're capable of and really what you're willing to do to accomplish that. And it's no different on the business side. In the corporate world, man, I think, if you have that vision for yourself and you stay consistent, you can win a lot. Because a lot of people face tough times and then they be wanting to want to cash out their chips. They want to get up out of there. And, and that's not necessarily me. And so, when I went through the NFL transition program, I came aboard the company that I work for now in Kiewit, and it was just a very big challenge, bro, that I was ready to jump at, and something that, like I said before, it keeps me closer to the sports world, but it gives me a different perspective. We've been, like I told you, we're like gladiators. We've been looking up at the crowd. Now I'm one of the guys helping the decision makers that are looking down on entertainment. And so it's kind of just a different avenue. And so I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for, those opportunities. And yeah, I'm just trying to run away with it.
What do you think coming out of college you wish you knew about corporate America that you think could have helped prepare you before you took on the gig?
I would say the one thing so football taught me that, to rely on your teammates and to be assertive. But I think even in this corporate world, you have to be more assertive because there's going to be more things that you don't know than you do know. And you have to really chase that information, just like you're chasing the reps in the weight room or you chasing, that film study. Like you really got to chase and be out ahead and understand not necessarily like why is it going to be beneficial for you, but why would it be beneficial for them or not beneficial, for the client. And so it's kind of, for me, I think I wish, there's more opportunity throughout, the football careers. I think they're starting to ingrain those types of studies and education now because of NIL, and there's opportunities to get in and really teach young athletes to really take control over, themselves as a business, because you really are your own business. And, if you can realistically take yourself to the next level, bro, each and every time it's gonna, the more reps you get at that, like the higher you go. And so, like, I think that was something I would have loved to seen. I would have loved to have been part of during my time in Michigan State. I know that they have a great NIL program and they do that stuff now. Darian Harris out there is really good at it. But as far as like during my time there, I would have loved to, be pulled aside and say, hey man, if you make this amount of money and this and that, you could do X, Y, and Z. And how about we pull this over here? And like, once you get those evaluations to come back from the NFL, now you can start to make a little bit more of business plans and decisions and kind of, get yourselves out in front, learning about real estate at that time. Because think about it. I mean, we were getting scholarship checks and it wasn't no money. It wasn't no crazy amount of money. But just thinking about if I would have knew that I could have, go to the stock market at that time, or thinking about at that time, if I would have knew that, I could take this $2,000 and I would have went down to Lansing, Michigan in the hood and I would have bought me a duplex for 220, you know what I'm saying? Like
You
5
could
bands
get a
a month.
lot. Yeah, you could get a
Yeah. And
lot
so,
for that.
and you know, feel me? So now it's like, that type of that type of information I would have loved to been part of. I would have loved to kind of have fall on my lap or, just really take a direct journey on it because, kids, I mean, bro, you go work out and then as an athlete, bro, we're done at 4 or 5 o'clock in the day. Like, if you know what I mean, if I had something like, man, let me go check on my property over here. Like, you feel what I mean? Like, let me go do that. And those are the things that I really, I try to share with my guys now is that, you guys are in the greatest time of sports ever. Like, yes, it's chaotic, but there's also a plan that you can have in place in order for you to be successful. And if you can
Right.
see that, if you can see that all the way through, you'll be dope.
Fire. And then that brings me to the next part, man. Is so we've got the corporate job, which is fire. How did you thinking about getting in back into football, staying close to football? You're doing that with your corporate gig. Talk to me about the flag football. How did that get involved? And kind of just like, because I feel like it scratches that itch where it's like you're coaching, but you're not, and you coach high school, but you're not coaching like, college, a league. Talk to me about first why you decided not to go straight to, college league coaching, and then how your program came together.
Man, honestly, I think God is always speaking to me, man. Like, yeah, I feel like it's always an easy thing for us to kind of, go back to where we came from. And, I could have been a part of Michigan State and I passionately love, coaching football. I love being a part of the details. Eventually at one point in time, I will return, I think from a player personnel perspective, because, my ultimate goal is to be a general manager. But I think as far as, you know, where God is leading me right now on the business side of things is that, for me, I'm learning so much about the world outside of sports and just the way things move. It's a reason why it's called a program. You know what I'm saying? Like when we're in sports, it's a reason why it's called a program because it's not something that you're expected to deviate from. You feel me? Like once you get involved in it, you're not expected to really go against the grain of it. And so for that being said, before I even put myself in a position like that, I want to soak up as much knowledge of the world as I can because, now I'm dealing in the world of politics. I'm dealing with city councils all the way up to US Senate, presidential candidates and things of that nature and understanding what their views are for the community. And I feel like, at this point in time right now, if it really is in my best interest to learn as much as I can so I can continue to share that information with my fellow colleagues. Like, and although, yeah, I have a job to do as far as, winning jobs for my company and things of that nature, but, I also have a job towards my family, myself, and my community. And so I have to be able to help them understand what is taking place and why people want to do certain things. I get a good joy out of, people like, oh, I never would have thought of it that way. Oh, I never would have, expected these people to do this or do that. And it's not necessarily something that's detrimental, but it's just, educating them on what's to come or what's actually taking place right now in their communities. And you know how for us, bro, I think that's one of the biggest things is why they push so much entertainment out in the world right now because they expect us to fall into that. Like if I'm sitting on my phone and I'm watching that instead of, reading a book or listening to an audio story, like, I've wasted 20, 30 minutes of my day that I could have helped pouring into myself. Like I could have, you know what I mean? And so I think for the communities that I come from and the people that I've, having a chance to interact with all the time, like my position of where I am is important and being able to I would say help grow a company that's been around since 1884 but being able to help continue the message, right? Because everything is about diversity, right? When you have somebody, have something that's been around for that long, there's traditions that have been in place, there's things that have been in place and you have to understand how to continue to navigate with that and work with that and be collaborative and show love because at the end of the day there's a lot of people within my company and my group that are actually really really good people and I find out a lot of interesting things about life and ways that I can kind of help better myself and help better my community. And so for me personally, yeah, I mean it's trying to soak up as much as I can because I know like I can go teach a guy how to pass rush and how to attack via the neck and I could teach this guy how to dip around the corner and run full speed and I can motivate a player for that. But it's like, once that job is done, man, can I help teach him on his taxes? Can I help teach him how to, you feel what I mean? Like, what you're voting on when you go down to the county office, things like, you feel what I mean? And so that's kind of where I'm at now is like, dude, like it's a whole hidden gem of ways that we can make money. And you've already been around it, man. Like, we were down in Austin and you see the
You
growth.
know,
Like you see the
you
growth,
know.
like in the way that everybody navigates and moves, man. And if and the reason why we get caught up so much is so much entertainment to slow us down. Like we got to block out that noise, bro. And that's
Trying to
kind of
tell you. That's why it's in your phone. That's why it's in your pocket now.
yeah.
And you bring up a lot of great points, man. And I think for you, I think you're the best person so far that I've had on the pod. I think to deliver this one, that I'm gonna ask you this question. There are a bunch of cats, you like myself, you get pinged, all these guys, projected first, second round guys, and they're getting ready for the L and all this type of stuff. Knowing what you know now, the information that you have now, and putting yourself back in those shoes, because you coming out, everybody's thinking first round. What's the main piece of information, or what's the biggest habit you think would have benefited you to put you in a better position than you also? And you're in a great spot right now. Make no mistake. Everybody listens to the podcast. Big Worth is doing just fine. But what do you think? Respect. I ain't gonna tap your pockets, but you're doing good. But what would you tell that person who's got all these different things, like you said, so many different messages, so many different people coming around? What are you trying to tell them?
I would just say be patient. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like be patient and prepared, right? Because the better you prepare, when you have to have the decision, you'll stay calm. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like Peyton Manning said, like you only feel like like the world is on fire when you're not prepared. Like when you're prepared, you can make every decision under duress. And so I would say constantly preparing. So understanding yourself, understanding your weaknesses. I think that was the one thing that I tried to even like we talked with Shafi, man, like back in the day. Like I pointed that out during our interview process. Like, hey, I'm gonna highlight some things that I feel like I'm not good at, because I don't want to get in there and just be selling myself as this golden child and not have no flaws. Like, and I feel like they're at some point they're gonna call you out on that stuff anyway. But I would just say being patient and being prepared. So like having patience doesn't allow you to make an erratic decision, right? It doesn't make you don't go off being emotional and just go and make a choice and trying to put yourself, behind the eight ball. You end up being, set back 10 steps instead of, falling back one step. Like if you're prepared, you could take a loss, but it'll be I'm back a step or two, right? If you're not prepared, that whole step go back, you basically starting over, right? So being prepared, so when I do have to make an aggressive decision, I'm making the most calculated decision, but also have patience to understand that every choice that I do make is not an emotional and quick decision. And so those are the two P's, man. I'll probably put those out there for sure. I try to teach my son that a lot because he's actually really good. He's athletic, and he's good at sports that I had never attempted. Like soccer, a little messy out there. When we was 6 or 7, dog, he was scoring. Bro, he scored 42 goals in a year, bro. And I'm talking about it was some good competition. And I ain't know much about the soccer, but I'm out there. Look, like you would have thought I'm in the World Cup shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was kind of cool. But as he continues to grow and get older, like, man, have patience, man. Like, realize that everything that it took for me to get to where I am, like, bro, that it took a lot of time, and it was a lot of dark moments in which you had to really muscle up some strength to like move forward on. And I just don't want you to, yes, it's great to dream big and to have these expectations, but realize the type of sacrifices you're going to have to go through in order to see that. Because, bro, every road of success is, in most cases, it's a lonely road. Like it's rare that you really, have like a real, just, I would say, happy, enjoying, journey. Like it ain't no yellow brick road. Like it's really you know what I mean? Like it's some moments where, you hit some potholes, you hit some curbs, like you you know what I mean? Like you're gonna hit stuff that's really gonna draw your ride a little bit. So yeah, just being prepared, man, but also having patience too, man, because every decision, like that's the one thing it seemed like in our world, it seemed everybody is coming to you left and right with stuff to make choices on. And you got to just stay patient, man, because and then listen to God too, bro, because he always, in most cases, bro, like I would say 10 out of 10 times, he gonna help you, listen to that inner voice, bro. If it don't make sense, then you got to step away. And I think that's one of the things that I kind of go back to, like with high school, bro, because as many accolades that I had in high school, there was some players that were better than me. I'm talking about I made had some really nice accolades, but when I lined up, it was a guy next to me that might have been, you know what I'm saying, that guy, but just couldn't, you know what I'm saying, like really fathom it all and kind of bring it in like how I wanted to. And so, I would just say that, bro, like having
I
patience
love
and
it,
being
man.
prepared. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. I love it. Big Worth, man. I don't know. This is a fire one. We got football locked
Yeah.
out and we got the business stuff knocked out. If somebody wants to find you, somebody wants to reach out to you,
Mm.
they love the story. What's the best way for them to reach out to you, man?
Yeah, man. So I'm on I would say every social media platform except for TikTok. I'm not really a TikTok guy, but I'm on IG at I am worthy _99. My Twitter has been the same for a while. It's I_am_worthy 99. And then my LinkedIn, man. I think that's probably, where we are now, bro, at this time of life is just continue to grow our business through that LinkedIn, because the reason why I do love the LinkedIn portion is because you understand what you're getting. Like when you're having these conversations with individuals, like what they have, you kind of have a small understanding of what it took to kind of get where they are, just based just like kind of seeing their track record and things of that nature. So who to show interest in and who not to waste your time on. And so I think that's the one thing I do love about that platform, bro. But yeah, man, you can get with me on all three of those platforms, man, and I'm
Sincerely.
always here.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, look, man, I appreciate you dropping by the pod. We got to get you on again. This
My
is
brother.
fire. Can't wait for everybody to see it, man. Thank you, brother.
Yes,
Have
sir,
a
man.
good one.
I appreciate it, man. It's all love.